Today is the second Sunday of this holy season of Lent. It's leading up to what big feast? What does Lent lead up to? Easter, right, when we celebrate Jesus' resurrection. And Lent is a time where we become a little more introspective. We look inside, we work on our relationship with God, with each other, with ourselves. That's why we just started the service with a confession, trying to get ourselves in a right relationship with God. And then also we have this whole month where we're focusing on the beatitude that Jesus, one of the beatitudes that Jesus said. And the one we're focusing on this month is what?
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God.
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see. It's always on your bulletin cover. You will know it by the end of this year. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. And then, today is what? March 17th? What does that mean? St. Patrick's Day. Yes, that fun day we get to wear green and do all kind of crazy things. So we got all these things that we're celebrating. Which one do you think I'm going to talk about? St. Patrick's Day. I am, and all the others too. But it's going to be short. Because this season, when we focus on looking inward and restoring our relationships, it's all about finding a purity of heart, isn't it? That's what Jesus said, blessed are the pure in heart. And that's what we're searching for. And if we want to see somebody who had purity of heart, we don't need to look any further than St. Patrick. What do you all know about St. Patrick? He likes green, okay. Anything else? What do you know about him? Hold on to that. I don't know if people heard it. Let me ask them, what do you know about St. Patrick? Okay, so you all win the prize. I asked at 8 o'clock, and the only answer I got was Irish. He was Irish. And I said, well, that's a great answer, and one that most everybody thinks of, and it's dead wrong. He wasn't, and what we had the answer over here was, he was born in England, but he was kidnapped. You're exactly right. When he was 16 years old. How old are you? 16 years old. Patrick was, how old are you? 15. He was kidnapped by Irish pirates and put into slavery for 6 years. And then when he was 22, he escaped. And he made his way back to his home in England, and he started studying his Christian. He came from a Christian family and studied and became ordained, studied on the continent in Europe. And then he felt called by God, do you know what? To do what? To go back. To go back to Ireland and to share the good news with the people who had enslaved him. That takes a lot of courage, doesn't it? I'm not sure I would want to ever see it again, huh? But it's almost as if he was modeling his life on that purity of heart that we heard Jesus show in the gospel today. I always love these gospel stories that make you laugh sometimes when they say King Herod's trying to kill you, and he says, go and tell that fox. Okay, I can think of other words too. But anyway, he said, it's not just about King Herod trying to kill me. He looked at the city that he loved. It was Jerusalem. Maybe it's Portland for us, but it was important in his life. And he realized that they were going to turn on him and have him put to death. And he gives this sort of this cry. It's like he's weeping almost. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you kill the prophets and stone those sent to you. It means throw rocks at them. And then nevertheless he has this compassion. And he says, how many times I have wanted to gather you together like a hen gathers her brood under her wings. Very motherly concept. There's a mother hen, oh sorry, with her brood. And he said, you weren't willing. You weren't willing. So even though Jesus knew that these people were going to turn on him and betray him and give him over to a very painful death, he had a purity of heart. He had a compassion to pray for them. And then St. Patrick had this same compassion to go back and share the good news. So he went back to Ireland. And you know what happened? He met a leprechaun. I'm not sure, he may have. But he was a great success. People listened to what he had to say, and people started coming to Christ. And he was very wise, though. People had a deep spirituality. The Druids were the priestly caste there at the time, and they saw the holy in all of nature around them. And Patrick picked up on that. He didn't try to change it. He said, look for God everywhere, in the land, in the sky, in the sea. See God in all things. And then he used the natural beauty around him to explain Christian teaching. So he plucked up a shamrock. You know what a shamrock is? What's a shamrock? It's a 3-leaf clover, right? Instead of a 4-leaf one. It has 3 leaves. We usually think of it with a race that's going on today and a lot of green deer and things like that. But when Patrick saw it, it reminded him of the Trinity. And he used that as a teaching tool to say, it's one flower, one clover, but it has these 3 parts. And so when he looked at it, and when the Irish that he converted looked at it, what they saw was not green deer or races, but the Trinity. That's pretty powerful. So Patrick did all these things out of a purity of heart and love. So this Lent, as we focus on our own relationship with each other and with God, I hope we'll take some time to look at how we are with those who we might think of as our enemies. We may not be called to pray for those who are going to kill us, like Jesus, or even to go back and share good news with those who have enslaved us, like Patrick. But chances are there's somebody that we feel like has hurt us, that has either hurt our feelings or done something we didn't like to us. And one way to find a purity of heart is to search, how can I show love to them? Is it to say a prayer for them and mean it? Is it to maybe send a letter or an email, and they may or may not respond? But it's our opportunity to search for that purity of heart. So I wish you a blessed continuance of Lent with much purity of heart, and a happy, happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks.